you guys, so I think this might actually be the last video. It's supposed to be Boris' interaction with her. Boris' interaction, the Cheshire Cat. So she comments that she was watching them go around and back and forth for a while. She's like, this was for a while, ... In fact, she mentions it was 3 time change. 3 time changes ago, while the time zone changes. Boris is like, I'm tired. He was saying he's getting away too quickly from me now, and he's no sleeping mouse. She's like, thank you so much, ... Put it ended. He comments, oh, Alice, what is it? Are you tired? Are you tired of the move? She's like, maybe so, ... She's like, I was tired just from watching you two. Well, someone that can run around that much. She's like, if you do it like that, you'll forget in no time. And he's like, Alice, don't you like moving? He was looking to commiserate with her. He's like, I don't like it. And it was played like this last time too. It's troublesome to change the place of residence. She's like, yes, ... Then are only Boris and I left here? Did everyone at the amusement park go completely elsewhere? He's like, yeah, we're alone. The uncles, Julius and Galland, have gone somewhere else. She's like, Boris is still relaxed. She's like, but you're left alone, ... And she asks him, isn't it true? He's like, well, I'm actually used to it, and I've met the mouse this time. It's fun to have him to chase, and I'm not lonely if I have fun. He's like, what about you too? And the face of a cat shows in her sight as laughing. She's like, after all, there is no tragic feeling for him. For him, moving does not seem to be a sad event at all. She's like, is it really just a move? She's like, is this often the case? He asks her, what do you mean? So this is important. He actually tells her right here that it's like the case because if you don't move regularly, like if Wonderland doesn't do this like spatial movement, then it won't turn right as a rule. And he's like questioning her like, don't you know this? And she's like, ... that is the rule? And she repeats that this is a common phrase that she's told in this world. He's like, correct, because it's a rule, you have to do it. He's like, you already know about this? And he's questioning her. She's like, I don't know. In fact, no one has explained it properly. He doesn't give me an answer, a straight one. It's a riddle, and a good example is this cat in front of you who does this constantly. She's like, moreover, there are no more people who can speak properly. She's like, it's the same thing if I'm not here and I go somewhere else. And she's like, the people who could explain are gone. She's like, Galland and Julius were one of the few people in this world who gave me a decent explanation on things. And she's like, that mouse, you can't replace those people with him if you think like that. She's like, if you talk to this guy, you're going to feel more confused because of statements like this. Because he was saying if you go and have fun, then you'll just forget about it. And she's like, no, you can't. You can't just replace with, like, a mouse, Galland in your place of residence. She's like, I'm already confused. 3 times, although the time zone changed, it had become quite calm. She's like, over that course of time, 3 time zone changes. She's like, I don't know how to deal with this. In the early days of coming to this world, it would have been unacceptable for me. And for now, it's just become acceptable. She's like, I have half given up, but, ... That is also a kind of familiarity now, just giving in. She's like, ... It's completely different from my world, and I don't agree with it, but I am getting used to it. So Boris here is actually kind of sad. He's like, I don't want you to get used to this, ... He's like, I'm just dissatisfied with the way things are, ? And he's like, if there's no more uncles here, then it's not worth coming here, right? And he's questioning her on whether or not she'll still visit. She's like, no, that kind of a thing, ... Boris in the field. Oh my gosh, he makes me like just want to cry. He's like, but you have a sad face, ? Isn't it because it's just me left here and no like Galland or Julius? She's like, that's not right, ... She's like, ... I notice you, Boris. And she then noticed that Boris was grinning and not angry or being serious. She's like, ... Don't make fun of me anymore, she tells him. He says, I'm sorry, but even if I'm depressed, I'm ... And he's like, gonna say I'm teasing you. To like stay cheered. She's like, here, ... was the place where there was an amusement park at one point. And she's like, I'm glad that Boris was at least left. She's like, but Boris, are you okay? Like, here on your own, alone? And she's like, is it okay because he's a cat? Because she's remembering him saying that it's okay because he's a cat. He's like, it's okay, I'm a cat. And she's thinking this, like, is it okay because he's just a cat? She's like, it's not explained where he gets this, like, relaxed feeling from. He goes on to explain that he's actually kind of like a stray cat or a stray person, Alice, so he's used to it. He's like, I'm used to it now because I'm a cat, and I'm more used to this world than you are even, because he's from here. And she's like, that's because Boris was originally a human cat in this world, ... She's like, I'm from another world, and I can't get used to it like you can. He's She's like, Alice, you are an outsider, but I'm the same because I don't have a specific place, right? So he's questioning if, like, they're two peas in the pod. He comments that even Galland was just intimidated and had been a temporary resident, so it wasn't like it was a permanent place to stay. She's like, I wish I had settled somewhere, and I can't calm down without a stable household. He says, I'm a cat, so I can actually live anywhere, and it's nice. She's like, fun, ... sarcastically. She's like, everything is okay, and you can just be anywhere. She's like, what is that, ... She's like, isn't that lonely, ... And she's thinking, like me. She's like, ... the me before this. She's like, it's different now. One person just feels lonely now. She's like, but when I was alone, I felt more lonely when I remember back to that. And Boris cuts into her monologue. He's like, you don't have to worry so much about me. He's like, I'm not worried about our uncles and myself, and my uncles aren't worried if I'm gone, so you don't have to worry either. He's talking about Galland and Julius, but mainly Galland. She's like, what can I say to this? Like, what can I say to all this? Boris tells her because they're in good shape, and I'm a man too. Don't worry about me and don't worry about moving. So he was commenting that they're like in good health, like you don't have to worry. And she's like, do you know of any instability that I don't know about for like another time this might happen? And she's like, now I really need to go home, ... She's like, if the time changes 3 times, then it becomes a situation where you must hurry. And she's like, the place where I am staying should be waiting for my return. She's talking about Hatter Mansion, the Mafia family. She's like, they may actually be worried. And she's like, I have a place to go home to. She just says Boris here, ... And she's like, I have a home to go to, but this is all that I need to say before I can go. She's like, Galland and Julius are gone. You may not be worried, but don't you think that you feel lonely? He's questioning her like, ... yeah? No, I don't say that. And he's like, don't say stuff like that. No, ... ... Along the same train of thought, he's like, and then, if that's the case, do you think that the older guys are lonely too because they can't meet with you now? ... He's talking about Galland and Julius. And she comments to him that I'm worried and lonely when Boris is gone. She blocks him with light words because she knows that he's trying to instigate. She's like, I'm glad that the cat feels good for me. She's like, I also like Boris, but he's a cat who doesn't take good care of himself. She's like, even if you know that you're dexterous enough not for me to be worried. Or she's like, even if I know that you're dexterous enough for me not to be worried. She's like, if you continue to be worried, the cat will be relieved. The cat and the mouse have the same face, as if they were given just different eyes. Dot dot dot. Don't be worried about me. Dot dot dot. She's like, that's right, in a place that has changed from an amusement park to a forest. How easy is it to live in this kind of a future? She asks him.
相変わらず現実的。
He's commenting that her concerns are more about like priorities and like places to live and like work and things like that. So he's like, as usual, you're realistic.
どこだって生活できるよ。大丈夫だって。俺、猫なんだからさ。
He's like, I can live anywhere. I'm a cat, so it's okay. Dot dot dot. And she's like, it's not because he's a cat. Dot dot dot. She's like, no, is that really the reason? He is a dexterous cat, she comments to herself. And she's like, Boris is actually okay. He does pretty much everything dexterously well. She's like, but how? Dot dot dot. And she's like, he suddenly flew into a forest. Why isn't it realistic to be concerned about this? She's like, I'm worried after all. Dot dot dot. And she's like questioning him about this still.
そんなに心配なら俺と一緒にいてよ。俺、あんたがここにいてくれたら嬉しいし、あんたも心配しなくて済むぜ。
He's like, if you're so worried, then just stay with me. I'm glad you're here and that you can now see that you don't have to worry, he tells her. And then asks her, like, you don't have to worry. She's like, that is... dot dot dot.
分かってるよ。無理だよな。だってあんたはよそんちの子だから。
He's like, I know. It's impossible because you're a child of another place. She's like, I feel like I'm doing terrible things to Boris, who is disappointed. She's like, I'm worried, and I can't do anything about this. She's like, dot dot dot, oh, come home with you. She asks him back about his question. She's like, I'm not myself, dot dot dot, but if I convince the landlord, dot dot dot. She's like going back and forth on this because she feels guilty.
そうやって帰って心配事増やしてね。
And Boris cuts in, he's like, that's more about your worries and like priorities? Question mark. She's like, surely that's the case, dot dot dot.
いや、心配してくれるのは嬉しいけど、本当に心配なんかいらないから。俺は猫だから、どこだって大丈夫なんだよ。
He tells her here, it's all good, I'm happy that you're worried, but you don't really need to. He's like, because I'm a cat, it's okay that I'm anywhere. So he's like reiterating that it's fine and she doesn't need to do this out of guilt.
でも、遊園地がなくなってもここに遊びに来てよ。俺に会いに来てくれる？
He's like, but come here even if the amusement park is gone, alright? Okay? Question mark. And he's like, will you come to see me? Question mark. She's like, of course. She mentions in response to this, Boris happily entangled his tail. Like with her.
ありがとう。それに心配しなくても大丈夫なんだよ。本当に行きたくなったらいつでも行けるから。
He's like, thank you, and really, you don't have to worry. If you want to go, you can go anyway. Like now. And she's like, question mark?
ここにはいっぱいドアがあるだろ。行きたい場所に行けるんだ。ドアは行きたい場所へつながってる。そういうルールなんだよ。
So So now he's actually explaining what happened with the doors earlier when she first came into the forest. He's like, there are many doors here, right? Like you saw them, and he's like, you can go anywhere that you want to go. The door is the rule that leads to the place where you want to go. The rule is that the door leads to the place where you want to go, is what he's telling her.
ドアを開ければいい。それだけで別の場所、行きたい場所に行ける。便利だ。
He's like, just open one of the doors. That's all that you need to do. And then you can go to another place. And he's like, wherever you want to go. And he's like, question mark, where do you want to go? And she's like, well, this is too convenient, ... And she's like, if you want to meet someone, you can always meet. Is that the case? She's like, open that creepy door, though, to go to meet people who you want to meet anytime. She's like, ... As expected, it's a dreamy world. It's too convenient. She's like, ... What is this? You can always meet them even if you move? She finds it ironic, and she's like, I was relieved for a while. This world is not so convenient, and it's not a sweet dream world. She was thinking beforehand.
望んだ場所へ行ける。行きたい場所へ。
He explains that you can go anywhere that you want, and that will take you wherever you want to go.
一番行きたい場所へ行けるんだ。望んだ一番の場所へ行けるってわけ。
He's like, you can go to the place that you want to go to first, and only there. And she's like, saying that he's speaking in riddles. Boris tells you, and she's like, the riddle is the back of the words. She's like, you can only go to the places that you want. You can't go to the other places that you don't, like, truly want to go to. ...
そりゃそうだろう。2番の場所へ行っても仕方ない。ドアは親切だから迷わないように選んでくれるんだ。1番の場所。
He tells her that's right about going to the first place that you want to go to. He's like, I can't help you with going to the second place, the place that you don't. He's like, the door is kind though, and so you won't get lost on the way.
だからさ、あんたが望むならどこだって行けるんだぜ。遊園地だって時計塔だっていつだって行ける。1番に望むならね。
Boris explains, he's like, so Alice, you can go wherever you want to go the most. He's like, amusement parks, like clock towers, you can always go there. She's like, ... And she's like, Boris didn't tell me the meaning. He's being mean.
意地悪なんてしてないよ。教えてあげただけ。謎々も教えるのも同じこと。答えは自分にしか出せない。
He's like, you aren't able to figure out the meaning? And he's like, you just told me it. He's like, you can teach riddles the same way. And he's like, you can only find the answer, though, within yourself. And she's like, I can't go to the clock tower even if I open the door.
意地悪なんてしてないよ。教えてあげてるだけだって。
He's like, I'm not meaning it that way.
1番に行きたいと思う場所なら遊園地へも時計塔へも簡単に行けるってこと。ドアを開けるだけだぜ。すっごく便利だよな。
He's explaining that if you want to go to, like, the very best place in your mind, then you can easily go to it, whether it be the amusement park or the clock tower. Just open the door. And she's like, no matter how convenient, I can't go. I can't use them. I can't go. And she's like, don't you know? I can't. It's not that easy for me. She's like, on the contrary, it's hard enough to think that it wouldn't be impossible in the future. She's like, don't let me say it. I don't want to have to say it.
1番じゃないから。
He's like, isn't it the best, being able to do that? And she's like, it's easy. If you put it as the best, it's easy. She's like, but it's not the best.
知り合いには会いたいかもしれないけど、そこまでのものじゃないって。
He's questioning her on this. He's like, if it's not the best, don't you want to go somewhere else? Like, if it's not the best here? And he's like, you may want to meet an acquaintance that's gone. And he's like, but it's not that much different than wanting to go to a place. He's like, it'll take you there too. She thinks to herself that Boris is not meaning to be bad, but he scratches like a cat with ease. She's like, there's no bad spirit to his words. And she's like, it's my own feelings that make me feel sorry about this. She's like, is there anything more important? If it's not the best, like, what happens? Because she's wondering what happens if she tries to use the doors without knowing exactly where she's going to go, since she doesn't know which place is the best in her mind. And she's like, I can hear my words end in a loss. Because that was basically the riddle he was explaining about the doors. That you might end up in limbo if you don't know where you're wanting to go. And then we will have more events come the next video, but this was this week's update. And I finished both the Joker and Clover. Joker ended a little bit prematurely because I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do with the mini scenes. But they're only like 1 to like sometimes 3 sentences. And they trigger the main event. So I may just like put my own that I get when we get to that in each of the games. So even in Clover when we get to that part, I may just put what I translated ahead, keep what it does for the random generated ones, and then leave those untranslated with pinned comments showing my own playthrough. Because the events will still be the same that we trigger doing that. And I just wanted to say thanks, guys. We'll be starting routes probably the next videos for all of the games now. Bye.